Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're stepping into a world that feels completely made up, like it's straight out of some massive sci-fi blockbuster. But it's not. It's actually incredibly, almost frighteningly real. We're looking at the hidden world right beneath our feet, the architectures of the apocalypse. Throughout human history, we've always built these grand monuments reaching way up into the sky. But today, we're looking in the exact opposite direction. We're going to explore the incredibly secretive, highly engineered, and just utterly massive subterranean structures that were built for literally one singular purpose, and that's surviving the absolute end of the world. So what kind of extreme engineering actually goes into something like that? And maybe more importantly, what does it really say about us as a species? But we're going to break it all down, and I promise you, the ultimate reason these structures even exist, it goes way, way beyond what you might be expecting.
Okay, let's dive into this with a number that might actually blow your mind a little bit. 15,000. I want you to just picture a town in your head, a fully functioning, breathing town, complete with infrastructure, living quarters, supplies, the whole shebang. Now, take that entire town of 15,000 people and bury it hundreds of feet beneath the bustling streets of a major global capital, because that is the actual scale of what is allegedly hiding right beneath Moscow. There's this deeply secretive, entirely separate subway network rumored to exist down there called Metro 2. And let me tell you, this isn't for your morning commute. Metro 2 is designed to link the absolute heart of Russian power, the Kremlin, directly to a sprawling underground bunker town, a town literally designed to keep 15,000 elite individuals alive and well, while the surface world absolutely burns. I mean, really think about the logistics of that for a second. The food, the water purification, the waste management, it's just an absolute marvel of extreme urban planning.
Moving into Section 1, Forbidden Underground Survival Structures. Now, look, it's just human nature to be incredibly curious about things that are hidden from us, right? Especially when they're built using our own tax dollars, but heavily guarded behind electrified fences and classified files. But what's really fascinating here is that Moscow isn't just an isolated incident. What we're actually looking at is a very deliberate global pattern of secretive construction. If you look at the points mapped out here, you've got Moscow's rumored Metro 2 network, as well as an entirely separate labyrinth of Stalin's hidden tunnels dug during the absolute darkest days of the 20th century. But then, check out that bottom point, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex in the United States. During the Cold War, the U.S. military literally hollowed out a solid granite mountain in Colorado to build a massive command center totally safe from Soviet nukes. So we're talking about major, rival world superpowers independently arriving at the exact same conclusion. If you want to ensure the continuity of government and power during an apocalypse, you have to dig deep. You literally have to carve your legacy into the bedrock. This isn't just some paranoid rumor on the internet, it's a massive, global architectural movement.
Let's transition right into Section 2, the engineering of apocalypse.
So, how exactly do you build an entire city inside a mountain or beneath a major metropolis that can literally withstand the worst weapons human beings have ever invented? We're going to pivot away from the whole spy thriller mystery for a second here, because the actual hard science and physics required to survive the end of the world is absolutely awe-inspiring. And this brilliantly illustrates the extreme physics I'm talking about. To really wrap our heads around it, look at the threat on the left, nuclear shockwaves. When a nuclear weapon detonates, the kinetic energy that gets slammed into the Earth's crust is almost incomprehensible. It essentially creates a massive, artificial earthquake. So how on earth do you stop a multi-story building inside a mountain from just shaking itself to dust? Well, look over on the right, 1,000 massive springs. Inside places like Cheyenne Mountain, the actual buildings inside don't even touch the rock floor. No, they are literally suspended. They're floating on a sea of 1,000 colossal steel springs that act like a giant industrial shock absorber. The mountain itself might shake violently, but the buildings inside, they just gently bounce. And then, of course, you have the silent killer. Radioactive particles in the fallout. You can't just seal a bunker perfectly airtight forever because, people still need to breathe. So you have these incredibly complex, highly specialized air filtration systems that are designed to basically scrub deadly microscopic radioactive dust right out of the air before it ever reaches the lungs of the survivors. It's really the stunning mechanical ballet of survival.
Now, let's look at how all of this builds up to the absolute most critical line of defense, the number 25. Or, more specifically, 25 tons. That right there is the weight of a single solitary blast door in some of these facilities. I really want you to try and feel the staggering sensory impact of that for a second. 25 tons of solid steel and concrete. Just imagine the grinding, heavy metallic screech as massive hydraulics slowly push a door, literally the weight of a commercial airliner, into place, locking shut with this final echoing boom. I mean, wow. That is the physical barrier between a fragile human ecosystem and an entirely hostile, irradiated surface world. The sheer density of these doors is meticulously engineered to take a direct hit from a thermal pulse and not even warp a fraction of an inch. It is, without a doubt, the ultimate do not disturb sign.
All right, moving into Section 3, surviving a Type 1 transition.
Okay, so up until now, we've really been looking at all this through the lens of Cold War paranoia and, classic military defense. But let's completely pull the rug out for a second and shift our perspective to the grand, long-term evolution of the human species. To really grasp this, we need to look at this definition: a Type 1 civilization transition. See, in astrophysics and futurism, there's this fascinating concept. It basically says that as a species becomes technologically advanced enough to harness the total energy of its home planet, which is what we call becoming a Type 1 civilization, it simultaneously gains the technology to completely and totally destroy itself. This is a critical, highly dangerous evolutionary phase. It's basically a cosmic bottleneck. And the crazy thing? Humanity right now is smack in the middle of this exact transition. We have the apocalyptic weapons, but we haven't quite matured enough to absolutely guarantee we won't use them. Therefore, surviving this phase requires some really extreme, unprecedented survival strategies.
So the crucial point is this. When we actually look at structures like Metro 2 or Cheyenne Mountain through the lens of a Type 1 transition, they completely cease to be just, classified military secrets. They become something so much more profound. They are autonomous, self-sustaining habitats for a tiny fragment of humanity. Think about it, they're lifeboats. If you're an evolving species teetering on the brink of this incredibly dangerous technological leap, the most logical, biologically sound thing you could possibly do is build an indestructible vault, put a seed population inside with all the knowledge and resources they could ever need, and just seal it up tight. In that light, you aren't just protecting a few government officials, you are literally backing up the hard drive of the human race. You're ensuring that even if the whole surface experiment fails spectacularly, a small fragment of us survives to try all over again. It totally changes how you look at the ground beneath your feet, doesn't it? Which brings us to this final, really vital question. Are these hidden megabunkers simply relics of our paranoid past, built entirely out of a fear of Soviet or American missiles? Or, when you actually zoom out and look at the grand timeline of human evolution, are they the necessary lifeboats for our future? Are they the required architecture for literally any species trying to make it past its own dangerous technological adolescence? It's just a fascinating and honestly, a pretty humbling thought to ponder. Well, thank you so much for joining me for today's Explainer. Keep your curiosity high, and I'll see you in the next one.